Good morning. Over the past weekend during the retreat, we have been looking at scripture and how to be consistent in our walk and talk by making sure that we are in constant relationship with Jesus Christ. But what I've learned is that sometimes the people that we have the hardest time showing an unconditional love to, those that we have the hardest time being patient with, are those that are within our own family. So this morning, we're going to look at the story of Jacob and Esau, and we're going to see how they're typical siblings, yet how as adults they end up restoring that relationship. So in Genesis 25, right from the get-go, they're twins, they're in their mother's womb, and they are jostling. And the Lord tells Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. Now, as the oldest sibling, that would actually drive me crazy. I like being the oldest. I like being the leader. I like being in charge. So having that prophetic word spoken over these 2 brothers, I could really identify with what's going to happen to Esau as the older brother when he ends up being born and has his relationship with his brother. A little later in that same chapter, we see that Jacob kind of tricks Esau into his birthright. Esau has just come in from hunting. He's famished. Jacob tells him, I'll give you stew if you give me your birthright. And Esau's just so hungry that he's like, fine. So he gives it to him, and then he ends up despising his birthright. And we can see that Jacob is not being a really good younger brother, and he's really taking advantage of the situation. Esau is just in his flesh. He's just hungry. He's really not thinking, and he makes the exchange. So this is a situation. It's already building a bad relationship between siblings. A little later on, when they're older, Esau has married Hittite women, and his mom does not like it. That is not the type of woman that she wants her son to have as a wife. So Rebekah favors Jacob, and Isaac favors Esau. So as Isaac is on his deathbed, then Rebekah ends up tricking her husband, which is horrible, tricks her husband into thinking that Jacob is Esau. However, Jacob does choose to go along with this trick while Esau is out hunting. So whenever Esau comes back, then Isaac realizes that he gave his blessing to the youngest son and not the oldest son. And here in scripture, it says, this is in Genesis 27:38 through 40. Esau said to his father, Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept aloud. And so you could just see the anguish, the pain from that situation. His father Isaac answered him, Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. So this is very devastating, and it breaks my heart, that line where it talks about Esau wept aloud, just how hurt he must have been. It continues to say that Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. And then later it says that the days of mourning for my father are near, that I will kill my brother Jacob. So he is so hurt that he wants to kill his own brother. Mom finds out about this. She sends Jacob to her brother and tells him that she will send word when it's safe to come back. Then what happens in the Bible is Esau is out of the picture, and we hear a lot of what Jacob's story is. It continues to where Jacob gets married, Jacob has his wives, Jacob has children. There's a lot of time that comes next in the Bible where all we know is about Jacob. But then there comes a day where Jacob, he's leaving Laban, his mom's brother, who's also his father-in-law. And so when he's leaving, he is preparing to meet Esau. And this comes up in Genesis 32. And what I want to pay attention to is the preparation that Jacob does. So let's just think about their past has a lot of hurt. And if you have a sibling, how you argue, sometimes you're mad at each other, but the relationship is so broken. They have not talked. There is there's no relationship. The last thing that has happened between them is that Esau wants to kill his brother Jacob. Jacob is living his life and now is preparing to meet his brother Esau, who the last he knows wanted to kill him. So it says that Jacob sent messengers ahead of him. And then when he sends those messengers, he prepares also by preparing a message. There's something specific that he wants the messengers to do. So the messengers go, they come back, and they say that Esau is coming with 400 men. So now we see Jacob makes another preparation. In great fear and distress, he divides his people who are with him into two groups, because he's thinking, if Esau comes to attack me, then at least one group can escape. So there's another preparation. Then he prepares again further on in the chapter by praying to the Lord. He's praying for this encounter, and that the Lord makes sure that they are safe, and that his family is safe. And he's referring also back to the promise that he has. He spends the night, and then there's another preparation. He decides that he's going to prepare a gift for his brother Esau. And the gift is a lot of things. It's 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels and their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys. And then he also prepares a plan so that when the servants take them, there's a message that they're supposed to be giving him. So there's a lot of preparation, and we could see that all this preparation is to hope that Esau does not kill and hurt him. And so he's acknowledging that there is hurt. And when someone is sorry, there is a preparation that occurs in their heart, and they know, I need to try and make amends. So we see that there's been a lot of hurt in Jacob. There's all this hurt in the past. So Jacob's trying to give gifts in preparation for meeting of Esau. So as that happens, when he actually meets him in chapter 33, it says, Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So remember, when he's been afraid of this moment and what's going to actually happen, and he's made plans for at least some of his people to be able to get away if they are attacked. And so it says he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. So we see that there is a acknowledging of respect, knowing that in the past there's hurt, there's disrespect. And again, all this preparation because of what has happened in the past. And it says, but Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. Surprise, surprise, never in a million years would Jacob have expected for Esau to, one, run to him. And then when he runs to him, he embraces him. This would not, based on the past, would you think this would actually happen? So it's really interesting that in the Bible, most of Esau's life is missing there. We don't get to see it. And all we know is that there's been a lot of hurt caused to him. But obviously, when we get to chapter 33 in that verse, we see that Esau, prior to seeing Jacob, prior to even knowing he's going to be bringing gifts, has already forgiven him. And it says he embraced him, he threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So we see restoration happening here. We see that Jacob was sorry. We see that Esau had forgiven him. Then Esau looked up and saw the women and children. Who are these with you? He asked. Jacob answered, they are the children God has graciously given your servant. And we see that when we stay upset at our siblings and we don't forgive, we don't ask for forgiveness, what happens is we miss quality time that we could have had with our family, with our families being united. So with this story, I want to encourage you to make sure that within your family that everyone's going to accidentally hurt each other sometimes, but that we come back, we ask for forgiveness, and make sure it's a true heart of forgiveness. Even though Jacob didn't need to bring all those gifts, it does show that he's really sorry. And you need to make sure that if someone's asking for forgiveness, that you've actually forgiven them before they've even asked. And that's really important, because that's when Jesus died on the cross for us. We're forgiven for those sins before we even ask to be forgiven. So this is a great story. It's a great story to apply to your life, because you have siblings. As you get older, you're still going to be siblings, and there's still going to be times where you all are going to be upset at each other, but we need to forgive so we don't miss that quality time. And it says later on, Esau asked, "What's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met? To find favor in your eyes, my lord," he said. But Esau said, "I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." Forgiveness, asking for it, giving it even without someone requesting, it's a beautiful gift. And at the end of the day, your heart's at peace when you've forgiven someone who's hurt you, and your heart's also at peace when you have asked for forgiveness. So y'all have a great week, and I enjoyed being with y'all this weekend. Thank you.